You are listening to the Life, Hope, and Leadership Podcast with Nick Shabrinsky, a transparent, honest, and encouraging podcast to equip you through real-life experiences.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks so much for jumping in on my Life, Hope, and Leadership podcast. I hope that you are being encouraged by these podcasts. If you like them, if you want to hear more, make sure you like and subscribe and follow on every platform that you are listening from. You can also find me on Instagram, TikTok, and all that jazz. But if you are enjoying the podcast, make sure you leave a little review, show a little love, share it with a friend. Your words help me get my words out. And I hope that my words are encouraging you, equipping you, challenging you, making your life better. I want you to change the world. That's what's great. Let's all use the greatness inside of us to make the world a better place, which is exactly what this podcast is about today. Thinking about the recent events, the tragic events that have happened in Nashville, and not only in Nashville, but sadly, consistently around our nation, gun violence, shootings, hatred, murder, death, pain, violence. And it causes a lot of people to get on social media for about 72 hours and get very loud for about 7 days. They get a little loud. And then sadly, after about 7 weeks, people just continue to move on because we are numb and we just kind of jump to the next thing. And it's a shame. It really breaks my heart. I feel like we so often allow things to become more news than they are concerns. And sadly, whenever the news shuts up, a lot of people will stop thinking about stuff. And so I wanted to just share a couple thoughts about how do we resolve the conflict in the world? How do we fix things? How do we help people? How do we make the world a better place? How do we actually go out and instead of just saying thoughts and prayers and positive thoughts and positive vibes, how do we actually make the world a better place? What do we do to actually cause behaviors to change? A lot of people say we need more gun reform. A lot of people say get rid of guns. A lot of people say we need better this, we need better that. But I think about a story where Jesus told his disciples, he's like, hey, I'm going to send you out as sheep among wolves, dangerous places. Don't take a sword with you. I don't want you to fight. I don't want you to worry about that. But then another time he tells them to take a sword, meaning you're going to have to defend yourself. You're going to have to be able to cover yourself. And I think about a lot of, I think about a lot of situations where I'm like, man, if I was in a situation where a bad person did not care about the laws of the land, where a bad person had power, authority in their hands to harm and to not do good, I want to have an ability to defend myself. And so I'm an advocate for gun rights, and I don't want to be in a situation where people who don't care about laws are able to break those laws, and now they're the guy, they're the girl, they're the one who can do the damage. And we have these situations where people take power into their own hands. They do evil. They do wrong. The Bible literally tells us that the days are evil. And the Bible says as time goes on, and remember, I'm a Bible thumper. I'm a Jesus freak, man. I'm a Christian. I'm a pastor. I love Jesus. Now you may disagree with that, but the reality is the Bible does tell us that as days continue, evil gets worse. And we see that. We see an escalation of evil on a consistent basis in the world around us. And I know in all of our hearts, and not all of our hearts, but in good people's hearts. And when I mean good people, Jesus said nobody's really good. Everybody has wickedness in them. But there are a lot of people who really don't wish harm on people. There are people in all walks of life and all belief systems, and all of us can admit, I don't want anybody to be harmed unnecessarily. I don't want to just unnecessarily harm people. I don't think anybody deserves to be harmed and to be hurt and to be beaten. And I don't care if we disagree or agree on things in life. I don't want to harm you. And so there are people who just have compassion for their fellow human, but there are broken people out there. There are broken minds and broken souls. And so a lot of times we go, oh, well, we just need better rules. We need better laws. And then you have people from other countries go, we don't have these problems that you have in the United States. But the reality is there are a lot of hatred and racism and bigotry, and our minds are being filled and convoluted. And so my thought today is this. The title of today's podcast is What You Gonna Do About It? What are you going to do about it? Listen, wherever you are, write it down. Think about it. We say thoughts, prayers, positive vibes. That's what we say. Oh, well, we need this, we need that. And we go barking up the ladder of political systems and we're like, you need to change this. But the question is not what are they going to do about it? The question is, what are you going to do about it? What am I going to do about it? Jesus said in the book of Matthew, chapter 25, you got to remember, Matthew was one of the homies that were walking around with Jesus, one of his disciples. There's multiple books, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, that are called the Synoptic Gospels, meaning they're very similar, but they're the perspective of 4 different individuals who were often in the same environment sharing their story, because when you have 2 or 3 witnesses, 4 witnesses, the story becomes a lot more valid and you get the color of the story. A lot of times when you hear a story from one person, it can be very black and white. Whenever you hear it from multiple people, it kind of gets contextualized. You get a little color to it. Jesus said, when I was naked, you clothed me. When I was sick, you visited me. When I was in prison, you came to me. And then the righteous people, they answered him and they said, Lord, when did we ever see you hungry and feed you? I'm sure they were confused. What are you talking about? When were you ever thirsty and then give you a drink? And when did we see you, a stranger, and actually welcome you, or naked? I mean, seriously, imagine Jesus being like, when you saw me naked. And they're like, dude, we never saw you naked. What you talking about, bro? I never saw you naked. Imagine Jesus saying that, hey, when you saw me naked, I didn't see you, Jesus. I'm Jesus. I did not see you naked. I promise. I was not looking. Jesus said, when did we see the sick in prison? When did we see you naked and clothe you? When did we visit you? And Jesus said, the king will look at you and say, truly, I say to you, when you did it to the least of these, you did it to me. And so Jesus is literally saying, look, when you see the problems and you actually meet the problem, when you see broken people and you pick them up, when you see hurting people and you heal them, when you see people that are full of hatred and you sit down with them and help minister to them and walk them through that, when you see people who have wrong thinking and you sit down with them and walk with them through their wrong thinking, when you see people who don't see right and you help them get their vision right, you did it to me. And then Jesus says, the Bible says in the book of James, chapter 2, says, what does it profit a man or a woman? What does it profit you if someone says that he has faith, but he doesn't do anything about it? Can faith save him alone? Is a brother or sister is naked and destitute of daily food? And someone says, hey, I hope you have a great day, but you leave them naked and you leave them without clothing. And you're just like, hey, I hope you get warm. I hope you get filled, positive vibes, but you don't actually do anything to help them. What does it profit them? Thus also, faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. But someone will say, well, you have faith and I have works. Show me your faith. Show me your works. And Jesus literally was teaching his disciples, and his disciples are now teaching us. And they're saying, listen, you cannot just say positive vibes. You have to go do something. You have to go help people. And that's why I did this podcast, because I can't just sit here and be like, I feel this way. And I want you to be able to have a place where you can sit here and go, man, what am I doing about what I think? Positive vibes, thoughts. No. People are hurting, and we are walking by hurting people on a daily basis without any concern to what they're going to do next because we feel safe. But the problem is when we keep walking by hurting people and we don't help them heal, they do hurting things, because hurt people hurt people. And we have broken people out there, and we're walking by and we're leaving them naked, sick, busted, broke, disgusted, and in pain. And we are called to go out there and take people under our arms. Imagine if 1 million people who knew the right thing to do would take 5 people each and love on them and encourage them and say, hey, listen, we don't need to hate people. Hey, we don't have to hate people by the color of their skin. We don't have to hate people by their gender. We don't have to hate people by their sexuality. We don't have to hate people by their ethnicity. We don't have to hate people by this, that, or the other thing. Imagine if 1 million people took 5 people each and just said, hey, we can love people. We can learn to agree even when we disagree. We can learn to disagree and still agree that we love each other. And we can learn to walk through pain and brokenness. We could help people. Imagine if everybody took somebody and said, hey, let's get along. Let's help. Let's make the world a better place. Now, all of a sudden, you have rapid amounts of people getting better. Now, we have to ask ourselves, why is our world so violent and so hateful and so sickened? And they did a study. There's actually this article I was reading, and they did a study back in 1972. The U.S. Surgeon General issued a special report of a large growing body of evidence that public health effects were being affected by media violence. This is 50 years ago, my friends. That they were saying, listen, there is an increase of violence on TV, and it is affecting the way that people are living. And literally they are saying that among suicide and cancer, the leading cause of death is violence among a generation. Why? Why are we so violent? Why is there so much violence and hatred? Why are we so easy to go out and kill our fellow citizen? What is it? It's not guns. You got to remember, Cain killed Abel with a rock. Jesus told them to go out with swords. So the weapon of the time is the weapon is the means to an end. But the issue is not the weapon. The issue is the heart. The issue is the heart. And we are dealing with people who have wrong hearts, broken hearts, wicked hearts. Literally, the Bible says the heart is deceitful and wicked. Listen, if you could see the increase of violence and hatred and wickedness inside statistically the hearts of people, where is it coming from? The Bible says in Matthew 6, chapter 6, verse 22 to 24, the eye is the lamp to the body. You draw light into your body through your eyes. What you're looking at is what you're becoming. The light shines out to the world through your eyes. So if your eye is well and it shows you what is true, then your whole body will be filled with light. But if your eye is clouded or evil, full of evil things, then your body will be filled with evil and dark clouds, and the darkness that takes over the body of a child of God has gone astray. There is the deepest, darkest darkness lives there. When Jesus speaks of the eye, he is talking about what we see, what we look at, what we're watching, what we're allowing in our souls. This is crazy. This is crazy. Think about this. The average U.S. teen spends more than 7 hours per day consuming entertainment through the screen. Think about that. And they have 8 hours a day of school. They're taking 7 hours additional, and they're in smartphones, TVs, games, music. Did you know Lil Uzi Vert actually stopped the middle of his concert and said, hey, by the way, if you're here, you're going to hell. You're going to hell with me. That he is constantly just submitting his music to demonic things. And so you have to ask yourself, what am I listening to? What am I watching? How much violence is being put in front of our eyes and our ears? What are we allowing? What are we clouding ourselves? Now, it's crazy because myself, I'm telling you this personally, growing up, I can't imagine ever just going, oh, I listened to an angry song and I went and did angry things. I watched an angry movie and I went and killed people. I murdered people. I don't do that. And I know a lot of people, that's their argument. They're like, no, I watched The Equalizer. I didn't go out and kill people. But there's a difference between people who have good upbringing or boundaries. But you got to think, not everybody has mental boundaries. Not everybody has emotional boundaries. People do dark things. And whatever fire you're feeding decides how big the fire gets. And we have wildfires in the hearts of a generation, young and old. You have people that are hurting, they're broken, and they're doing terrible things, and it hurts. And it hurts us to watch it when we turn on the TV and we go, wow, there's another shooting. Wow, there's another murder. Wow, there's another homicide. Wow, there's another school shooting. And immediately we say, get rid of the gun. But we have to ask ourselves, what's going on in the hearts of people that causes them to take somebody else's life into their own hands? We have to decide, are we going to sit here and think, oh, I did my job by putting a comment on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, social media, barking at a president, barking at a governor, barking at a senator? Yes, I think we need to make sure that we're always doing background checks. I think we need to always make sure that we're doing things to make sure that weapons of a power don't get into the wrong hands. But people who want to do bad things, and I am mental illness, we need to make sure we're caring for people with mental illness, that we're addressing it. We're not just walking by it. We're not just numbing people. It doesn't take a gun to kill people. It can be a gun, a knife, a rock. It can be a grenade. It can be a bomb. It can be a car. We've seen stories of people who have gone through. There was people riding their bikes down the road and someone came in with a vehicle and just plowed them out. Why? Because wickedness does wicked things. Hurting people hurt people. And we are inducing a generation and exposing them to nonstop violence and anger and hatred through music, through media, through news. And so my podcast today is not, oh, this is the solution, but we have to go back to the root of this. If you see someone hurting, the Bible says, you saw me naked and you clothed me. You saw me sick and you visited me. You saw me in prison and you came to me. And then they said to him, when did we do that? And he said, when you did it to others, you did it to me. The Bible calls us to be people of action. And my encouragement to you, my friends, is just take action. If you see someone hurting, stop walking by them and acting like it's not an issue. If you see someone who's sad, don't sit here and go to their funeral and be like, oh, I wish they wouldn't have taken their life. No, have you said, hey man, meet me for Starbucks, meet me for Panera, let's eat, let's have lunch, let's talk about it. What are you doing to love the hell out of people where they are right now? Are you filtering your music? Are you checking in on what your kids are listening to? You know, it's amazing how many times parents go, I had no idea my kids were thinking that way. Had no idea my friend was thinking that way. Well, did you think about what they were listening to? Did you watch their behaviors? Did you look at the changes in the way they dressed, the way they thought, the way they talked, the people they hung out with? A lot of times the things that people are about to do are evident, but we are so preoccupied with our selfism and selfishism that we have lost sight of people, where they are and where they're going and how we can help them. So today I just ask you, my friends, what are you going to do about it? It's more than just a comment and a post. It's us actively engaging the community around us. For me as a Christian, sharing the gospel and not just hiding in church, acting like, oh, I'm saved and I'm safe. Let's go love the hell out of people. Let's change our world and let's go help people in their pain and distress to make the world a better place. Hope this encourages you. Change your world this week. Do something about it.
You are listening to the Life, Hope, and Leadership Podcast with Nick Shabrinsky, a transparent, honest, and encouraging podcast to equip you through real life experiences.